Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Helen Quarmby, and with my lovely friend and colleague Olwen Jennings, and this is probably the second part of one of the parts of Living from the Heart, where we're having a general chit chat between the two of us about our experiences, about people pleasing, the umbrella term about, how we can a lot of the time give away our power and do everything to try and please everybody else. But at the end of the day, it's about not pleasing ourselves, and often at the heart of it is really not knowing ourselves very well through conditioning and all sorts. So today we're having a look at one aspect of people pleasing, which is not speaking up. Isn't that right, Olwen?
Yeah, definitely. It's quite a major element, I think, of people pleasing, because we tend not to say how we're feeling or what we think, often because we've perhaps don't want to upset somebody, or we feel we might upset somebody. Perhaps we're trying to keep the peace. Perhaps we're trying to mediate. Perhaps we're frightened of the reaction. It just depends on our circumstances, and I think a lot of us have been trained, if you like, either through the way we've been brought up, or society, or has it feels a little bit like that, almost like a little program that needs rewriting. That's how I feel about it anyway.
Definitely. And can you bring to mind any sort of examples of when you might not have spoken up, or when, what scenario was it that affected you at the time?
Yeah, I mean, there'd be quite a few in my lifetime, but I guess sort of earliest memories would be, be at school, that sort of thing, when I'd want to fit in. This is a theme as well, isn't it? Fit in with maybe what everyone else was doing, and wouldn't speak up if I felt that I wasn't going to be popular by saying what I wanted to say. So that kind of thing. Or I used to do a lot of reading poetry, like out loud in school, in assemblies and things like that. So it seems like a silly thing now, but I used to really love it. But I often used to get, my peers and some adults actually used to think I was a bit of a show off. So I think, and they used to say that. So I think all I know now, looking back at the time, I didn't realize what I was doing. But looking back, I decided it was easier not to bother doing that anymore. And that's an extreme, obviously, being on a sort of a stage, reading something, but it can translate, throughout all of your life. And then other examples have been, in situations, in relationships, boyfriends and so on, where I felt I'm not able to say how I feel for fear of upsetting that person, and maybe that person not being very nice if I did say how I felt, that kind of thing. How about you, Helen? Any memories?
Well, you've made me think of one, actually, a little bit similar, to be honest. It wasn't I suppose it wasn't about being able to find the words of speaking up, but it was a similar situation in that it was in the classroom. And one of the very early years, to be honest, and I think I can remember that I used to be quite eager, putting my hand up, answering questions, and it must have been a thing, because I can remember it to this day. It was almost like me switching the lights out on myself, because I can remember making a conscious decision on the back of probably sensing everybody's dislike of me. Oh, it's her again, type of thing, answering the questions. And I think from that moment there was a conscious decision not to be as active in that process.
Mm,
So it's like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut basically from now
mm,
on.
yeah.
But in terms of sort of more recent days, you're in adulthood, I did write a bit of a list here. I suppose one of the things is having physical symptoms, feeling quite stressful about being able to speak up when somebody has a different maybe opinion to me.
Mm,
In more of a, if it was say within true friendship, it wasn't a problem, but say if it was in a professional
yeah.
arena, I would get physical symptoms. So I'd used to breathe from up here, I could feel
Yeah.
my heart racing. And I think I just found it a little bit challenging if there was a conflicting opinion, and it probably wasn't an issue for the other person, but I think it stems from my earlier years when there was perhaps a little bit more of a, what's the word? I want to say aggressive response to me. So it was like a reflection of having received an aggressive response. So it's like, oh my goodness, what's this person? How are they going to respond to me if I say something that's a contradiction almost to what they are saying? But in a natural relationship, that shouldn't be a problem. It's about, a give and take and listening to one another, a bit like a debate.
Mm.
You can't always make the right choice for yourself if you don't have, every option available to you.
No, that's true. But I think a lot of this comes from, sensitivity as well, and
Mm.
feeling, um, because most people don't realize that they can feel into how somebody might react. It might not be right, but you're feeling into it and you're coming from your own experiences, like you say, like we both from an early age learned not to speak
Yeah.
or speak up at times, or and then that influences us later on, doesn't it? But I think we we can sometimes, well, I can sometimes go into this head spin of, well, what if they, and I don't want to, I sometimes I am coming from a good place. I don't want to upset somebody, um and or I don't want them to be upset at me. I don't want them to shout at me. I really don't like conflict. That is one of my things. I don't like conflict, so I try and stay away from it. But um, I think that comes from this sensitivity of not, it's not wanting to be wrong, because I'm right as far as I'm concerned,
Mm.
but it's being judged wrong by somebody else
Yes.
that I find difficult sometimes. Well, I have done. I'm better now, but it's
Yeah.
just really interesting.
It is.
Um, and I think sort of go out often. I've gone out of my way, um, or not to say something, or there have also been times, I don't know if this has happened to you, where I thought, right, no, come on, I really need to say this because it's really important, especially if it was in a relationship or something. And I'm going to say it, but the conversation starts, and then my throat, as you were saying about physical symptoms, my throat suddenly becomes dry, or
Mm.
sometimes like it feels like my mouth's not working properly as well. So often I just take that, I've taken that as don't say it.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Mm.
it's crazy when you say it out loud.
Yeah. But it's almost like that was one of the other things that I quickly jotted down, that getting so anxious about actually speaking up that it tends to be a disaster when I speak up anyway, because I say the wrong things and
Yeah,
I get all
yeah,
tongue
it
tied.
doesn't come out right.
Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't come out right. And one of the tricks I've learned is to sort of mentally prepare for it a little bit. Imagine how the conversation might go if you
mm,
do speak
mm,
up, and ask for any help you can have without being too woo, but asking
mm.
for any help that you can be given by your angels or your guides or something, just to keep you in that calm space,
Yes, yeah.
um and to help support you. I
Mm,
find that that's helped me in the past.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. I mean, I suppose what's been helping me is learning that my opinion sounds a little bit wrong. It's the way I feel.
Mm.
It's valid,
Mm.
and I have every right to feel a certain way or to think a certain way as anybody else. So I suppose it's coming back to that self-love and feeling of self-worth, but also being open to the other person's point of view also, and that maybe somewhere in the conversation, the middle road, if it's a bit of a disagreement about something, the middle road can be met somewhere else. But knowing that a difference of opinion doesn't have to end up in a fallout,
No,
we can still respect
does
one
it?
another.
Yeah, it doesn't. But I think a
Mm,
lot of this, also, comes from me, came from my child as well, because my mum and dad used to argue a lot. Like it was
mm,
loud,
mm,
and again, that's probably why I don't like the conflict side of things. So I would, and they would get not aggressive, but really annoyed at each other and all the rest of it. So I think that's another reason, why I perhaps thought it's going to end in disaster sometimes if I
yeah, yeah,
speak up. But you're right. We're all different, and we're all entitled to our own opinions or feelings. In fact,
yes,
we are. Our feelings are telling us something. We've got
yeah,
to listen to them. We've got to express them, because if we don't, we can end up suffering with stress or whatever
mm,
else.
mm,
But like you say, quite often when you do it, you do find a middle ground, and like you say, take acknowledging what the other person thinks without sort of saying, well, no, like my mum would have said to my dad, well, no, you're wrong.
yeah,
Not saying that,
mm,
because he was coming from his perspective.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
So it's very interesting.
It is. There's an awful lot involved in it,
There
isn't
is,
there?
yeah.
Yeah. But I think a lot of it's about coming to know yourself,
Mm,
ourselves, as individuals, to understand ourselves a little
mm,
bit more, and to maybe bring a bit of forgiveness to the experiences that we have had,
yeah.
and to release some of that angst and negative emotion attached to it,
Mm,
and clearing it, which I suppose it brings us nicely to our transform people pleasing to not giving a bleep healing program. So often, if anybody's watching this, I think people will realize that just in sort of discussions where we share our stories, a lot of these memories can surface when they've been maybe held down for quite some time, and that trapped emotions can create trauma within us, rather than a natural process of healing going on within us. It can create all sorts of issues affecting the throat, the chest, the heart, that kind of thing. So in transform people pleasing, we will be bringing healing into it, won't we, Olwen?
mm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that we will put the link in the details in this post to that, but it's transform people pleasing to not giving an F, bleep bleep. Okay. And that's opening on February the 21st.
Yeah.
And we will start February the 24th, which is Thursday. It's in 4 weeks. I forgot that part of it.
Oh, yeah.
So if anybody's interested in that, please feel free to contact us.
Yeah.
We are asking for beta testers, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the price reflects that. Is there anything you want to say, Olwen?
No, just, if any of this, but even if you don't want to join up, just let us know if this conversation resonates
Mm,
with you, in the comments. But if you're not quite sure if the transform from people pleasing is for you, then please reach out to one of us and we can have a chat and see if it's something that you feel will help you. We really believe it will help many women, because it is usually women, sort of find their voice in a way that suits them, that's kind of authentic to them.
Yes.
Without worrying so much.
Yeah, that's a massive part, actually, Olwen, isn't it? It's the worry about repercussions, I suppose. And also, asking for help as well. That's a big part of it. We don't always feel like we can ask for help.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that's
yeah, lovely.
Yeah, so that would be lovely if anybody did get in touch with us or made any comments. But for now, we will be back with another chat between us, looking at another aspect of this. But this is all part of our living from the heart, helping you to see what that looks like, what that feels like, how that plays out on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Take care and see you again soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.